Well, hello and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is that you are watching. But hopefully you're watching live because that's when it really go down, okay? This month is National Financial Literacy Month. And so this evening, we will be talking about financial literacy. More specifically, how you really build wealth. And this is not what they're going to teach you in school. This is not what they're going to teach you in college. Nothing. You're only going to learn it if you know the right people and you plugged in. So tonight I have with me a special guest. Y'all know I'm always excited because I love having my guests. My guests is what makes the show go round. Okay. So we're going to talk about the truth about building wealth, not being rich, but building wealth. And I have a professional over here by the name of Tino Gordon. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell y'all who he is and what he do.
Hey, I appreciate that. So yeah, my name is Tino Gordon. I'm the founder of Gordon Legacy Consulting, where we focus on a holistic approach to finances, not just focusing on the numbers, but how can you master the numbers and overall better improve your life.
Oh, okay. Well, that was
Yeah,
short and
yeah, just
sweet and to
keeping
the
it
point.
pushing. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, look, we got some. Hey, Christine. Hey, beautiful. Happy Friday to
Well,
you too.
Christine Austin, hey.
If y'all are watching live, make sure y'all post where y'all watching from. I like to shout y'all out. I'm from North Carolina, if y'all don't know. I'm in the beautiful state of North Carolina on the East Coast. Where you at, Tino?
I am in Rockford, Illinois right now. It's nice
Oh,
and
okay.
chilly out there. We had some snow not too long ago, but I hope it warms up pretty soon.
I know that's right. It's hot here. We got them 80-degree weather now, but the nights are still a little nice. So this is my time of year. I don't like when it's real hot, and I don't like when it's too cold, but I prefer to be cold.
Well,
Well,
stay
we
there in
don't.
North Carolina.
I don't mind going venturing out, but I love being able to. I love our bipolar weather because hey, we get it all. I can't just be somewhere where it's always hot or always cold.
Yeah.
Y'all do me a favor if y'all watching this, share the live. If you have not subscribed, hit subscribe. I like to give away money as I hit, certain amount of subscribers. So we're gonna
Hey,
get right
can
into it.
I
'Cause I know y'all
subscribe?
want to.
Can I resubscribe? Do I get money?
Let me tell you how that works. Like once you're subscribed, you're in every drawing that I do. So if you don't win the first time, you always gonna have a chance to win whenever I do a drawing. So yeah, go on and hit subscribe.
Hey, okay. I'm in there.
He in there.
Yeah, put
All
me in,
right.
coach.
So you locked in now. So first question I got: why do you think financial literacy is still not being taught in schools, especially in the communities that needs it most?
Okay, yeah, that is a great question, and I'm going to be very direct with it. So, first of all, it's not by default, it is by design. One of the most wealthy people who I recommend everybody should study, one of the most wealthy people, Rockefeller. There's a book called What Would the Rockefellers Do? Is one of the best books teaching you how to build wealth, the strategies that they use to build wealth. But even though studying them is great, one of the things that John D. Rockefeller said, and he is quoted, famous quote saying this: I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. So think about the schools. Think about when you're saying, why is it not being taught in school? Because they want to put you through the pipeline to just go from school to work, like an assembly line. They don't really want you to think, they just want you to work. So that is why it is not taught in schools. Because once you get that knowledge and once you're being able to think for yourself, that's going to equal freedom.
Wow, that's the God honest truth.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they definitely want to keep us mentally enslaved to what the American dream is supposed to be, and it's really a nightmare if you think about it.
Yeah.
Especially the stuff that's going on now. But I ain't gonna get into those politics tonight. I don't think.
Yeah, but when you really think about it, so like the wealth gap is really a knowledge gap. It's not necessarily an income gap because at the
Mhm.
same time, you see a lot of people who are high income earners. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're wealthy, because it's just like, what knowledge do they have? You see a lot of people making money.
Right.
You could be in the hood still making a bunch of money, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're wealthy.
Right. That's why I was like, we talking about building wealth, y'all. We're not talking about being rich. just having a lot of money in the bank, having fly cars, and we talking about real wealth. What is real wealth to you, Tina?
Oh man, real wealth is, so the way I look at it, you have different types of wealth. You have emotional wealth, like
Mm,
how's my emotions, because you can have money, but if you depressed, what is your spiritual wealth, what is your well-being, your physical wealth, your health. Then you have social wealth, which is your relationships. You have time wealth, like are you in control of your time?
mm,
Then your family, do you have good relationships with your family? Those are all different forms of wealth. It's not just physical cash and money, but then when you put it all together, it is the overall quality of your life, your time, your freedom, your relationships, all of that, because it's kind of a juggling act and a balancing act. Because again, you see some people, you'll see this all the time with celebrities and the rich and the famous, and you go, well, why did they kill themselves? They got
mm.
everything. Okay, but where was their spiritual or their emotional or their mental wealth? They were probably lacking in
Right,
that. They probably had a negative bank account in those areas. They
right,
probably had overdraft free fees inside the mental. So
right.
it was like, hey,
That's true
uh,
though, because a lot of people, like you said, they oh my God, I saw this saying, and it said something about not not overdrafting your accounts, like mentally, physically, emotionally. It's like seven different areas in your life. So for me, wealth is definitely being in the positive in every
yeah,
area of life, relationships, all of that. Because you can have all the money in the world and still not be happy, you know?
yeah. And then when you do start focusing on the money, it's like not just focusing on the money, but the time too. Because again, if that money isn't freeing up your time, is it, if you're not being able to buy your life back and redeem your time back, then what? You just in a cage, but it's just more fancy. You just got
Right,
like the
right,
golden handcuffs or the golden bars. You still trapped.
right, right. That's definitely right. So I'm gonna ask this question.
Hmm.
In your opinion, who benefits from gatekeeping that financial, literacy from the community, from the general
Oh,
public?
oh man. I'll put it this way. Every law, every rule benefits somebody. Every
Mm,
law, every rule benefits somebody. It depends on which side of it you're on. Are you on the one where you get the short end of the stick, or are you on the other side where you can benefit from it? So, I'm not going to point any fingers and name any names, but there are a lot of people who benefit from keeping the general public financially uneducated. Again, think
mhm.
about freedom. Think about freedom. If, let me put it this way, you're either leveraging somebody or you are the leverage.
Yeah,
So whoever's using you, whoever is keeping you in bondage or keeping you from your freedom, that is who is benefiting. Now, we
mm,
can just say the overall system is benefiting, if we don't want to just point and be like, hey, it's that guy, but it's the people running the system. It's the people whose job it is to keep you in line who are benefiting from it.
right. And you said, like you said earlier, it's not that the information isn't out here. I think that for one, a lot of us have just been programmed to go with what we know, and when
Mhm.
something is foreign to us, we won't accept it. So, I mean, financial literacy is out here everywhere. You can learn for free from just watching YouTube and TikTok and social media. But there's so much information to where sometimes you don't know what's true and what's not, because everybody's going to contradict something, and
Yeah.
so it's hard. How would you tell people? This just came to my mind. I didn't have this question. What is your advice for people that's trying to become financially educated, but they just can't weed through all the information?
Yeah, so it's, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Like gather all the information and find what you can apply and find what works for you. So what I'm seeing a lot of days, well, a lot of time these days, especially on like YouTube, social media, all of those things, where we like to follow the celebrities, the multimillionaires, the billionaires, and that is all great. I'm not telling you not to do that. But sometimes that advice doesn't apply to you because they are so far ahead from where you are. You probably need to find a person who's just one or two steps ahead of you, who you could be like, hey, do X, Y, and Z to get to where I'm at. And then when you get to where they're at, follow the next person who's one or two steps ahead of you. Because again, you're talking about if somebody's like, oh, well, here's this tax strategy, here's this way to do X, Y, and Z business. It's like, hey, that doesn't apply to you. You can't compare your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 20. There's a whole bunch of chapters and steps in between there. But there are also just a lot of resources out there for free. It's just going to come down to what are you focusing on? And a lot of people want the money, but they don't want the education and they don't want the progress and the change. And so it's like, what are we really talking about?
Right. I think people be looking, like always, looking for a shortcut, a quick way to something. And there is no shortcut. There are better ways to do things. Things don't have to take as long as it takes some people, but it's like you said, eat the meat, spit out the bones.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So what was your own wake-up call when it came to understanding money and building wealth? Like when did it was like that aha moment, like I found it.
Okay, I got a few. And this is something that fuels me every day. Look, I'll say this. If you want to know what keeps you going, like really tap into your why. It could be a big reason, it could be a deep reason, it could be something that people be like, really? That's it? That seemed kind of petty. I'm going to start with the petty reason. Okay. So, I remember as a kid being told no repeatedly. Hey, can we get this? No. Can we get that? No. Now think about this. Back in the day, I was born in the 90s. Back in the day, a dollar menu burger cost $1. Hey, can we get this burger? No. Fast forward to today, the dollar menu doesn't exist, right?
Right.
It's gone. And I'm sitting there when I'm starting to spend my own money now, because I'm like, yeah, I got money. I'm about to spend it. I'm about to get the stuff that I was told no in the past. Then I'm looking at it like, wait a minute. We ain't have $1. Like we really didn't have $1.
Right.
Like I could understand, hey, Tino, no, we can't get this because A, we got food at home. B, it's not healthy for you. 3, like you just don't need to eat this. But to be like, we can't afford it. And then I look now and I'm like, well, what is food gonna cost in the future? So that's one of the reasons.
Right.
Another reason is I don't want to be in a position where I'm telling my child no because we can't afford it.
Right.
It's like I need better reasons than we can't afford it. And then because then the way my mind works is, well, if we can't afford it, how can we afford it? What do we need to do to afford it?
Right.
I tell all my family and friends this. If they're like, hey, Tino, can you chip in money for this? Or can we get this and that? I never tell them no. I'm like, sure, we can get it. Bring me business. You bring me business, we can get whatever. It don't matter. Bring me the business, we can get whatever. Yeah. And then another reason, so is being told no constantly. But the other reason is just, what would it look like on the other side? Just
Right.
we got so conditioned with no and being down. And then, especially in our community, we have this love and embrace with struggle. And I'm like, okay, what is it like on the other side? I want to experience that life. Another reason of mine is I remember being in school, being in college, and again, just making up for what I thought I was lacking. So again, I was buying a whole bunch of food. There's a lot of stuff I didn't have until I was an adult. Chick-fil-A, a lot of fast food, a lot of restaurants and stuff. And then, you start going out on your own, you're partying, you're spending money, and, all that time you're saying YOLO, a lot of good times, money just gone. And
Right.
then even more recently, I remember a few years ago with the pandemic, I was running a nightclub, and I remember seeing friends being like, Tino, I can't pay my phone bill. Tino, my car's repossessed. Tino, I can't pay my rent. And I'm just like, yo, what is everybody doing with their money? We was making money every week, every
Yeah.
night, have a big event making money. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then when the government shut down the clubs, I was like, oh, this is big. Like I didn't know that was possible.
Right. I used
Yeah,
to
so that was
bartend
my
during
wake
that
up
time
call.
too. So yeah, I know
Yeah.
that's right. I know when I first learned about money, it was well into my adulthood because I didn't even realize we were poor until I was like in my teenage years because we were just happy. Like again, that wealth. We had what we needed and we were happy as a family. And I was a kid, so I didn't need money to do anything. It was when I first got introduced to the industry, to the life insurance industry. And I was first recruited by a Primerican. Okay. And that presentation that they had, and I believe it's probably still the same to this day,
Yeah.
because they taught me about money. When I saw that rule of 72, I was like, wow, I had never seen it before, never heard of it before. Or if I did hear about it or see it, I didn't know what it was. So
Mm-hmm.
sitting there seeing how money actually works, I was like, wow. And that's when I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do this. But obviously that wasn't the place for me to do it. But I learned the knowledge of how money works. And so that was like my wake up call to knowing that I could definitely live a better life and provide more for my family. Other than just knowing I can do more, I didn't know that there was like really no limit. I went to
Yeah.
college. I did try to do the American way. And I just ended up in a lot of freaking debt to work a job that's not even going to pay me the annual salary to take care of the freaking debt. I'm like, what kind of sense does this make? But that's all I knew. So yeah, building wealth the right way is definitely where it's at, y'all.
Yeah. Once you get around people who can show you that there's a better way, and once you see people living a better way, it's up to you to make that decision. It's like, do I still want to keep
Hmm.
doing this, or do I want to try to go for the better way?
Right, right. When you know better, you should do better. So most people think of life insurance, we both in the industry. Most people think of life insurance as something you only benefit from when you die. So how is that mindset really holding people back?
Yeah. Well, one, I would say, show me a dead person who's used life insurance. The dead can't do anything, first of all. But
Hmm.
second, we got to change the way we look and think about things. So we're thinking about life insurance to benefit somebody else when we pass away. One, we should pass the baton when we can no longer run. We
Right,
should do that. That should just be the base. That's not even something we should be debating about.
right,
But
right,
but second, on top of that, is changing the way we think about life insurance. So a lot of people, especially the wealthy, are not using it mainly for the death benefit. It is necessarily a bank account or a place to store money that has life insurance wrapped around it. Life insurance
right,
is just the wrapper. It's not the actual candy. The good stuff is all the things that benefits you, such as like the
right,
tax-free benefits, the way compound interest works, the way money can grow inside of it, the living benefits that you can use while you're alive to keep living. The death
right,
benefit is just the thing that's just the wrapper, you know?
right.
And because it has that wrapper, it protects you from certain things like
Like
taxes.
taxes.
Yeah,
And people don't want to, and some people just still won't accept this. Like I get people all the time, they'll send me videos. Is this true? Something about an IUL. Like, yeah, well, can I do that? I mean, if your mindset will allow, you know what I'm saying? Anybody
yeah,
can do it. But if you have to be willing to accept the information. And so I definitely believe going back to the Rockefellers, that's what they use between the cash value life insurance and the trust. And so I tell people life insurance is the first part, but you have to set stuff up properly, man. Like if you're in that position to do so. But life insurance is the easiest way to begin generating some wealth and some wonderful living benefits for you while you're alive and leaving behind to your family after you're gone. And like he said, all tax free. I like tax free.
Yeah, I would say for people like get really clear on what your goal is. Get
Mm,
really clear because you can get every policy isn't the same. It's all different with each companies, and then you have different types of policies. You can't just say, "Oh, well, I got this because I heard that one." It's got to be tailored to you. So I see another
my next
question.
question, yeah, I was like, you went right into my next question.
Okay.
Can you break down the difference between the types of life insurance and which ones actually help build wealth? You was going there.
Yeah, so they all work. It's all about what you need. And you can have multiple types of life insurance policies, just like you can have multiple types of shoes, multiple types of shirts. You're not going to be like, "Oh, this is my one shirt that I'm going to wear every day of the week." You're not a cartoon character. You're a human
Right.
being, you know?
Hold on
So,
one second. Well, keep talking. Something just hit my window.
yeah, so you're going to have different types of life insurance policies. Now the difference in them, let's just break it down. Term is good for a set period of time. That, hey, if I die within this time frame, it's going to pay out. Most of your term policies have living benefits that you can use while you're alive, so that's great if you get into a sickness and illness and accident, things like that. Your whole life is good for your whole life. A lot of people use whole life for final expense, paying off funerals, things of that nature. Great. Then you have your IULs, which IULs, I know it's a hot topic out there in social media. So I'll say this: when it's structured properly, it's a phenomenal product. It is absolutely great. When it's
Yes.
structured poorly, it is terrible. But the thing that I always ask everybody who sits down with me, what do you want this policy to do? Because
Right.
again, no matter what type of policy it is, what you're essentially doing is buying money. What do you want this money to be used for?
Mm,
So it doesn't have to just be used for a death benefit. It could be used for,
right.
hey, I'm doing this so I could have money for my children's college education so they don't have to get a bunch of student loans. Or I'm using this so I can have a mortgage payment in the future. I'm using this so I can start my business. What is it that you want the policy to do? It's not about the type of policy, it's about your goals.
Right. That's why I see so many people posting like, what's the best life insurance to get? I'm like, whichever one works for you. Like this is not a one size fits all type of deal. That's why there are different products. And so when I see agents that only sell one product, thinking that it's the solution for everybody, it really upsets me because I'm like, how did y'all all sit in the same class that we sat in? And you come out and you think that what they taught you was a scam. Like that don't make sense to me. But you broke it down perfectly. It's about what you want it to do. It don't matter what the product is. It's about what your goal is, what you want that policy to do, or
Mhm.
that money to do. Like you said, you're buying money.
Yeah. And I'll say this: if you have a policy and you can't clearly explain what it's used for, what it's designed to do, you probably need to get a new agent, get that policy restructured. Because I see a lot of people going like, "Oh, IULs, you can put money in, let the money grow tax free, and take the money out." Yes, you can, but again, how was your policy designed?
Right.
Again, it's not a one size fits all. Your shoe size is different from somebody else's shoe size.
Right. So can you have one real example where someone used life insurance to fund a business, retire, or simply create that financial freedom?
Yeah, yeah, I know a few people, man, and I there's one guy who came to mind, and when I talked to him about his life insurance policies, he says, "Uh-uh, don't call them my life insurance policies. Tell me about my accounts. What are my accounts doing?
Mm,
This is my bank account. Take whatever your last name is, This is the account. This is the bank of insert your last name here. That's what it's about. And so
Right.
he, he used one policy, let the cash grow in it. He took the money out, used it as a down payment to buy real estate.
Mm,
Then, oh my goodness, life insurance and real estate pretty much
yeah.
almost work the same way. Like how you can build equity in the house, you build cash value in the life insurance policy. So what
Right.
he pretty much did was cycle those two things and just kept flipping them to buy more and more real estate, which then he used to buy more and more life insurance. Well, opening up another bank account so that he could keep funding his business.
Right. And that's what it's all about. Like, I like he said, life insurance could be used for whatever you want it to be used for. I have people that my mom, for example, she has an IUL and she has a cash value life insurance policy that she's funding for her retirement because she doesn't work a traditional job. She's a business owner. So she don't have 401k. And so we have to do the same thing, setting ourselves up for a tax-free, not tax deferred, tax-free retirement. So all the money we get, Uncle Sam ain't gonna be able to touch it.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Christine. He's schooling y'all this evening. Out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Hey, it is all good.
Yes. So what are some of the biggest myths that people believe about life insurance? Other than it's for the dead. I mean, for me, I think that is the biggest thing.
Yeah. So on the I would say for the general public, it's hey, this thing is for just for death. Well, again, if money is just for death, I mean, you're really not thinking big enough. You know, who's just gonna throw money in the grave? But
Right.
second, on looking at it from the industry point of view, it's all the different silos. So it's all the different, well, I'm team term, or I'm team whole life, or I'm team IUL. And again,
Right.
those are the biggest myths. Again, it's about what you want as a consumer, as a client. It's not about what I want. I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, oh, this one is better than the other. I don't know which one to recommend you until you tell me your situation and what your goals are. And I say it like this: I look at where you are now, I look at where you want to be in the future, and I just
Mm-hmm.
build a bridge, connect the two dots. So if everybody's like,
Right.
oh, just buy term, I'm like, okay, well, what if somebody wants to build cash value? What if somebody wants to use all of the other benefits? You
Right.
know, hey, if you just want term, cool, cool. But if
But
you
you're
want
gonna get
something else,
educated on everything so they can make
yeah,
a decision.
yeah, it's about what you want.
Yep. And you got to be able to offer them options. I'm all for options. So, do you think financial institutions and media purposely avoid talking about life insurance as a wealth building strategy?
Oh man,
Kind of
oh
tied on
man.
from our first question. So,
Oh man, there's so many ways and so many paths you can take this question. Okay.
let me say this like, start like, as far as like, I'm thinking like, with the banks, they sell life insurance, but they don't sell, like all the products. Like most people, if they have a policy with their bank, I need to see this policy because it
Mhm.
could be, not
Just
what they think it is.
accidental. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, especially because if you look at the top banks, like Bank of America has $24 billion in life
They
insurance.
put most of the money in there, and I bank with them. I was like, "Oh, y'all make me sick. Y'all still don't give me
Yeah.
nothing on savings."
Yeah, but even think about it on a more personal level, right? So let's just say what do you think would happen if everybody had $1 million, $1 million policy on them? Everybody is now worth $1 million. Certain things would change. I'm just saying certain people, would still be alive because, if you just start wiping out people, it's gonna be like, hey, you costing us $1 million a person. I'm
Right,
I'm just saying, you got to do the math yourself. So
right,
look, this if we keep saying more money equals more power and life insurance is just buying money, You know, do the math.
No-brainer. Right. So my next question, why do you think so many people avoid or delay getting a policy altogether?
Yeah, because one, they think that it's for something else, whether if it's just for death, or we think because we think it's just for death, they're like, oh, when we're young, you're gonna live forever, you're never gonna be sick, you're never gonna run into a rainy day, things like that. But then also just lack of education on what it's used for. And
Mm-hmm.
then, we wait too late.
Mm,
It's just it's one of those things where it's like where you're young and healthy, you tell the insurance company no. But then when you get sick and something happens to you, now the insurance
I
company
tell
tells you
them,
no. And you're like, ah,
right,
man.
Christine. Not educated about it. Don't trust. That's right. Those are more
Yeah,
reasons why they don't get insurance. And so that's why I tell my clients, I'm like, I'm not an order taker. You might say, hey, how much is a $10,000 policy? You can go find that out online. If you want to have a conversation to see if 10,000 is what you really need or what you can afford, then we could talk. Because I'm not an order taker. I build relationships with my clients so that when those milestones and stuff happen throughout their life, because when we first write a policy, they're not gonna remember all those benefits. That's why
hmm,
it's important to always check in so that you can know what's going on. They might purchase a house. Now they might need that term policy, to cover the mortgage. Or somebody might have graduated high school. They want to use some money out of their policy. It's so many avenues that you can take with these life insurance policies, y'all. And hopefully something that we are saying to you will help that light bulb go off.
yeah, because I say like I'm not an enforcer, I'm just a consultant. I'm just gonna show you the options, you pick.
Right.
I'm not gonna force you into anything.
Right. I know one thing that bothers me is I'll talk with the client and they'll have all these questions, but they're not asking questions to really understand. They're just like gathering information. And then it's like you go through the whole nine, they like it, and then they don't get it. And then they come back to you. Maybe I've had somebody come back to me literally a year later and ask me, um, do can we get that quote that I got? I'm like, when did we talk? And it was literally almost 12 months ago. I was like,
Yeah,
ma'am, that quote is only good for 30 days. So we have to redo this. And now
yeah,
she qualified for the IUL then. She didn't qualify for the IUL now. And that price is completely different from the amount of policy she could purchase when you have to get a final expense plan.
yeah.
So, like you said, we just educate them. It's up to y'all what y'all do with it. But you can't be mad at nobody once it's too late and you can't get a policy or you can't get what it is that you qualify for today.
Yeah, some people think that it's either too good to be true or
Mm-hmm.
it really comes down to the education. It's too good to be true. This doesn't work, that doesn't work. I would challenge you to think instead of asking or saying like, okay, well, nobody told me about this, XYZ family member, brother, sister, cousin didn't know about this. I would challenge you to ask, why don't they know? Instead of just
Right.
shooting it down immediately.
Right. I know another thing as far as like, in the Black community, we haven't witnessed enough of it to believe it true. Like, I've never been left no money behind nobody passing away. My mom wasn't left money when anybody passed away. Her mom was like, you know what I'm saying? We've never seen that generational wealth passed down. And so I'm the first one in my family to get into this industry to educate the rest of the family. And thank God my family is very supportive and they do, they believe what I say. My mom even went and got her license. So
Oh,
it's
congrats.
just it's a wonderful opportunity. And I tell people, even if you don't ever sell a policy after taking the 20-hour class, you will learn so much in those 20 hours on how to move through this industry or even how to actually buy the right policy for yourself, because there are agents out here. There are just selling bogus policies, which is where the rumors and they're scams or this policy, it's not the insurance, it's the agent or the company you're dealing with, because there's so many options out there. And not knowing something, it's not an excuse anymore. Like it's not. It's
Mhm.
2025. Not
Chat
knowing
GPT
something.
it, you know?
Right. Ask somebody that you trust, or I mean, you gotta trust somebody that you will believe them if they gave you the correct answer about something. And just like we don't know how to do a lot of things, we go learn it. So why are we so skeptical when it comes down to actually putting your money into something that's gonna work for you? You know? So I
Yeah.
just, as a community, as a nation, I educate people, we educate people so that they can at least know the information. We're sharing with you accurate information. I know I've been in the industry for about 10 years. And how long you been in, Tino?
About 10 years.
Yeah, so collectively we
Mhm.
got 20 years of experience, y'all.
Yeah.
So we know what we're talking about. Um, what advice would you give to someone who thinks they're too young or too broke to start planning financially?
Hey, if you're too young, if you said too young or too broke, let's combine them.
Yeah.
If you're too
Okay.
young and too broke, you're in the best position. You're in the best position because, again, the younger you are, the more affordable and the cheaper it is. So let's
Right.
just say for a baby, I remember the Gerber Grow Up plan when I was a kid. It was like for less than $1 a day, you could
Dollar a
name
day.
your child, and it is just like, man, why didn't anybody take advantage of that? you
Right.
know and nowadays it's like they got those same plans but on steroids. They are pumped up, the money moves quicker, you can build more cash. It is ridiculous. So if you're never too young and you're never too broke. Again, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this today will be the day that it is the cheapest for you for the rest of your life moving forward. So the
Yes.
longer you wait, the more expensive it's going to get. And the thing
Right.
is, inside finances in general, not just life insurance, but inside finances, but let's focus on life insurance. It is built into the whole industry that yesterday's price ain't going to be today's price. It is literally built in. That's why we got to ask you your age, you know?
Right. We need date of birth because if you're closer
Yeah,
to turning the next age, hey, if you're closer to
exactly.
37 than you are 36, guess what? You're rated as a 37-year-old with some carriers. So
Exactly.
yeah,
So
all
so
of
it
that matters.
it so I'll wrap that question up with this too. Again, remember, you're just buying future dollars on sale and at a discount. So
Mm,
take that change and buy dollars. And if you wait when you get older, then you're gonna have to be paying dollars for dollars instead of pennies for
right.
dollars.
Mm. That's true. I like the way you put that. So if you could put one financial truth into every high school curriculum tomorrow, what would it be?
It would simply be understanding compound interest, the eighth
Ooh,
wonder of the world. Again, I
yes.
ask a lot of people, would you rather have a penny that doubles every day for 30 days or $3 million? And a lot of people choose $3 million instead of the
Mm,
penny because, it's those things that start small but compounds and
adds
adds
up.
up. Yeah, and again, so for those watching, at the end of the 30 days, you're gonna have $5 million. You wait
Mm,
one more day, 31 days, you're gonna have $10 million. So again, it's
yes.
understanding compound interest, understanding how it works for you, and then understanding how it works against you. Because again, when you think about debt, credit card debt, think about this. Let's just say, we know the rule of 72. You take the number 72, you divide it by the
Mhm.
interest rate. It tells you how long it'll take for your money to double, right?
Right.
If you're putting your money in the bank and you're getting 1%, 72 divided by 1 is 72.
72.
It's going to take 72 years for your money to double, right? But
Hmm.
at the same time, I got a credit card that's 22%. That means it's going to take about 3 years for the money I owe to double. So which
Right.
would you rather have? Your money that you're earning take 72 years or the money that you're spending and owe take 3 years to. It's a no-brainer.
No brainer. God knows. Do you have anything else that we did not already touch on? And if you're watching and you have questions, please feel free to ask. We'll answer them in real time. As long as you get it in before we close the show down.
Yeah, I would say, don't just think about the money. A lot of people want to focus on the money as if it's the end goal. What is your relationship with money? Do you just want money to pay bills, or do you just want money to buy stuff? Or are you the type of person that I'm going to get money so the money can multiply? I'm getting the
Right.
money to buy the freedom. Like, money is just a tool. It's not the end goal. And what is your relationship with the money? I see a lot of
Right.
times, even in my own family, I had to tell my family, like, hey, don't send me to the store to buy lottery tickets. Like, I'm just not doing it. I'm not judging though. I understand it's like, okay, you're trying to buy the American dream. You're trying to buy the freedom. It's like,
Right.
hey, I know the methods and the stuff that we're talking about isn't exciting. It isn't fun. It isn't sexy. It seems boring. But you can have whatever life you want once you master the basics. Just do that.
Mm-mm. Just master the basics. Now you dropped one book, the Rockefellers. Is there any other book or somebody that they can go follow, other than us,
Yeah.
that they can help them with that mindset? Because I feel like in order for people to really understand and grasp how this works, it does start with mindset, because most people are stuck in that poverty mindset and they can read books all day about money and it won't ever register.
Hey, if you want some heavy hitters to follow, okay. Okay. And I saw some of them pop up. You got Shane Stein, you have Andre Pennington. These are people who write articles for Forbes. Forbes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, real people. Not just like, oh, these people are in fairy tale land. Get around
Right.
real people doing real things who can change your life. I would say that. Those people who have poured into my life absolutely changed my view on finances. I got to give a shout out to Unique. He put
Mm.
me on the power of zero, talking about
Yes.
taxes. A lot of times people don't understand taxes. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. Because if you make $1 million, but then you got $1 million tax bill or whatnot, it's just, you ain't
You
making
ain't
any
making
money.
no.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Like, I love that you said, it's not about the money, it's about your relationship with money. Because you can, if you don't have budget and discipline when it comes down to money, then you're not going to have any. You're just not. You have to budget and manage it right for it
Yeah,
to
I was
bring you
I
that
was saying
love
to
back.
people too, is to, like, if you fall off the wagon, it's okay. Look, I've been broke before. I remember sitting in the dark being broke, and then I learned that trick where it was like, hey, tell a utility company the check is in the mail, it'll buy you a few more weeks, you know.
Right.
Hey, I sent it USPS. I don't know what happened, buy yourself a few more sometime. But again, with your relationship with money, it's like, again, what is the money being used for, and how do you feel about it? It's no judging. If you fall off the wagon, like I said before, just get back on. Don't just go and just throw it like,
Right.
I went over budget, so I'm just gonna blow it for the rest of the month. I know we do that kind of sometimes with our diet too. It's like, we ate the thing that we wasn't supposed to eat, so now we're just like, well, here
Well,
we
now
go. It's like,
keep
nah,
going with
man.
it.
Yeah. It's like, nah, let's get back on. Life happens. It's
Right.
okay. But you can get anywhere you want to get to, where you want to be in life. It's just going to take the consistency and the discipline. So I say that to encourage you to just get back on. It's okay. Things happen. Sometimes we go over budget. It happens. But
Right.
get back on. Just don't blow it, you know?
Right. Right.
You're not gonna
That's
throw
what.
the whole carton of milk away because you spilled a little bit. Like, nah.
Right. Unless the tip touched the floor. If the mouthpiece touched the floor, the whole bottle got to go in the trash.
No
But no,
five
we're not
second
gonna
rule.
cry. No, ain't no 5 second rule around here. It's nah. I got boys in my house.
Oh man.
They
Woo.
probably be drinking out the jug. But no, let me stop. But Tino, I appreciate you for taking your time out. You know, I know we all have busy schedules, and time is something that we can't get back. So taking the time out to come up here tonight to educate our audience, I'm very appreciative to that. Tell the people what you got going on. I know you on social media, you got podcasts, and you know, hey, tell the people how they can connect with you and what you got going on.
Oh yeah. So if you wanna connect with me personally, I'm at well there, yeah, there's the website right there. And then Legacy by Tino. That's where you can find me personally on all social media. You can also follow my business page, the professional stuff on Gordon Legacy Consulting, at Gordon Legacy Consulting on all social media. Also, what I have going on, oh man, I've been doing a lot of speaking, a lot of education, a lot of workshops. So if you or somebody, your family, your business, your organization needs somebody to do a workshop, do a speaking engagement, motivate, pump up your team, or just give the financial education in a way that's simple and digestible, I'm your guy for that. If you also just want to like have a good time, share a story, I'm your guy for that too. But even more importantly than that, if you want to figure out, like, hey, what am I doing with these moments that we call life?
Mhm.
What the sum of all these moments? How do I have a great legacy? Even if it's not, even if I'm not somebody who's going to be in the world history books or world known or known all over, how do I make an impact right where I stand? That is something that I would love to talk to you about. It's something that shaped my life journey, putting together, again, the foundation, what shaped you, the finances, what we're talking about now, and then how you can combine that to have a great future and a lasting legacy. That's what I'm all about.
That's what's up. I love it. And this is a great kickoff to the month. This is the first roundtable of the month. And like I said, this month is known as National Financial Literacy Month. So I'm going to be bringing on guests to talk about more of these things throughout the month, and even like after this month, because it's important. It's something that's very important. Um, y'all done seen how to get in touch with him. Y'all hit him up now. He knows what he's talking about. He's good people. He's approachable, and he's very transparent. If you have any topics that you want to hear on the roundtable, go ahead and shoot me an email. If we're connected on social media, you can always inbox me or call me. Very reachable. If you want to be a guest on the show, same thing, hit me up. I love welcoming new guests on different topics. It doesn't always have to just be about finance and life insurance, but I love to keep those things in the rotation. And anything else, I appreciate y'all for subscribing. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, all your reactions, all your questions, and continue to subscribe and share this, because it may not be for you, but it may be for someone else. And if we can just reach one, teach one, that's what it's all about. You have any last words, Tino?
I would say this: life happens in moments, your legacy happens in moments. Every moment you have a decision, your legacy is on the line. What are you going to do with it? It's not just all about finances, because it's about their future. It's about combining the past and the future to have an overall greater life. So, just something to think about.
Right. Well, Tino, again, I appreciate you. Appreciate y'all for watching, and I will be back next week. Same time, same place. Put a different face on that side. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend.